Hi.
Hi.
Uh, Welcome to another episode of Promote Science. Today we don't have a scientist to talk, but it has been how long? A little more than a month
Month, yeah.
for Promote Science.
The
So
1.5.
1.5. So we wanted to make a video to thank you for being with us, and we wanted to talk about who we are, and what are the opportunities for young people to do science in this country, and what are the outreach programs that we are planning on starting, and what kind of support we have for these outreach programs. So first of all, I just want to say thank you for supporting us. You can support us monetarily because there are some schemes that we are undertaking which will require some amount of funds, although not a large amount of it, but certainly some. And if you want to donate, you can contact us as promotescience2020 at gmail.com. So we will give you the links and the bank details. It will probably be Amar's bank
Yeah.
account. Probably.
Yeah, we'll get richer.
Yes. So that's that. So you can always help us financially. Apart from that, I want to say that we are a part of either Kolkata and the Center of Excellence in Space Sciences India, or SESI. So SESI has very generously agreed to fund us in some of our outreach activities. So I think a lot of the financial issues that we had to think of, we don't have to think anymore. So I just want to tell you about what it is that we are planning to do now, and how we intend on achieving that. So Amar, why don't you tell us about the success of the first newsletter?
Yeah. So when we started, so actually Promote Science was born on like 15th November 2015, and so it was incidentally it was one day just after Children's Day, and so three of us were discussing, like Roshan, Shubhojit, Maitra, and Abhilash. So we were discussing. We have been discussing about the gap between research being done in science institutes in India, and also the awareness regarding scientific opportunities and scientific opportunities in the society, especially in school children. So coming from a background, so when we were kids, like when we were in our schools, so we had like very limited resources compared to the resources which the kids today enjoy, such as internet and a lot of other stuff. So we had very limited resources. So frankly speaking, I didn't knew much about research. So we just came to know about research from some tiny news clippings which were published in, as far as I'm concerned, I read Hindi newspapers. So occasionally there were small clippings, like NASA discovered something, ISRO launched some rocket, and so on. So we had very limited resources, and there was almost no other career option except engineering, medical, maybe
much.
administrative services, and so on. So but there were some very, I would say, very encouraging and very inspiring programs on the Doordarshan, which was the only channel we had access to in those days. So there were programs. So as far as astronomy is concerned, we had one very nice program by Indian astrophysicist Professor Jayant Narlikar, and that program was called Brahmand. So in Brahmand means the universe in English, and it was actually, the program was a very successful initiative by Professor Narlikar, and it was built on the lines of the famous TV series called Cosmos by Carl Sagan. So you can say that it was a kind of Indian version of Cosmos, and it was quite successful. So I would just want to describe in a few lines, because I had some fond memories of that program. So that program, Professor Jayant Narlikar was quite young during these days. It was in the 1990s. So you can imagine, like I have also grown old. You can see I have white hair and so on. So the program featured two young kids. So they would approach Professor Narlikar with some of the queries which they had related to the night sky, and the manner in which Professor Narlikar explained to them using some toy models, some pictorial representations, that was amazing. I mean, actually we would wait every week for that program to happen, and it was very nice. Besides, we had very good programs by Arvind Gupta. So that program was named Tarang, and that used to be telecast on Doordarshan National on Saturdays. I guess it was like 10 or 10:30 in the morning. So there were some good programs, and besides there was one program called Turning Point. By, I'm forgetting the guy, and there was one program called Earth Matters. So there was one program in which Professor Yashpal actually he described some science experiments in very like in a layman's language, and that was very encouraging. So as far as in today's times, I mean, there are so many resources which like people can use, like
Right.
internet, and so they can connect to like any scientist in India or across the globe on the click of a button or on a phone call, which was not so accessible in our days. So we just wanted to whatever we have experienced, we wanted to bring a difference on that front, and this is how science was born.
Yeah, like if you talk about my childhood, I did not have a television, so I could not watch the programs that Amar did watch. And what I had were books. I did not have a computer, but I had access to the to a cyber cafe, which had very ridiculously low internet speeds, but it got me access to the NASA website, and I would download and I would print stuff. I would bring them home and I would stick it inside a diary, and that's when I realized that yes, space is something I want to work on. And it sort of, I think the love for science grew primarily due to some very motivated school teachers who taught me during those times, as well as my own initiative to know more about the subject. But eventually I think both of us wanted to be associated with space, and both of us happened to be, so it's kind of a dream come true for both of us. We are both from the villages of India, so it's only fair that we give something back to the villages of this country. So we have released our first newsletter. It was on astronomy and astrophysics because that is what we know best, and we decided our first issue should be based on that. But yes, there are more issues coming on different topics. We are talking to specialists. We are trying to get their opinions and their articles in our magazine. And so the idea is to not give you a very mathematical understanding of the subject, but to give you an overview of different aspects of science, so that at some later time you can do some investigation on your own and find the topic which interests you most. So we will try to represent the different disciplines of science in the most honest way possible, and it seems that we are reaching out to 300 schools right now all over the country, and we have plans to send hard copies of our newsletter to schools which do not have email addresses. So if you are a school, or if you are a student of a school and you want Promote Science to reach your school, do visit us at promotescience2020.blogspot.in, download the Promote Science newsletter, get a printout of it and stick it on the notice board if your school. So that's a good way of spreading Promote Science to all your friends, to all the children of the school. So that's that. But let us talk about this new outreach program that we have wanted to start and for some time now, and I think we have the necessary funds to do that. So Promote Science is coming up with a fun science program where we have a science show for children of class 9, 10, 11 and 12, and we are interested in performing the same show at different villages of India. We're starting with Bengal, and yes, so Promote Science is going to a village near you, and it's going to do a show. So Amar, do you want to add something to that?
Yeah, so another way, if you want to subscribe the newsletter, you can fill a Google form. So it is available online, and so you can, if you want to subscribe individually, you can also do that. Or if you want your school to receive those monthly newsletters, please feel free to do so. And if you have any comment suggestions how we can improve our newsletter, or what are the contents which you would like to see related to any special topic, like the next we are focusing on biology in the next edition, so we can also do that. Another thing which we have been thinking about is like talking directly to the students. So last month we had some school students visiting here. Some of the students were part of the Vijoshi camp, and most of them were from like 12th grade, and some in like BSc first year.
Yeah, first year. Yes.
So we had a like interesting conversation with them. Like some of us also were part of the demonstrations, scientific demonstrations, which we showed them related to optics, gravitational waves, how gravitational wave discovered, and so on. So we also some of them were quite curious, and we discussed with them what are the different opportunities they have in basic sciences after 12th. Besides, we were also very happy to interact with some 9th grade students from Northeast India, mainly from Arunachal Pradesh and from Assam.
Yes.
So as you can see, we have a small telescope here. So we do like regular sky watching sessions. So we took those students for a sky watching session, and they were very, happy to look at the moon and some stars like the Orion constellation and some planets using this telescope. And the kids were very happy, and the kind of questions they asked, the kind of basic questions they asked, it was amazing. Like we were forced to think, we were forced to tax our brains on some of these questions, and they were quite curious. So if you want to interact with us directly, that is also possible. We are thinking along those lines. So if you want to want us to directly interact with the students of your school, so you can write to us on our email ID, and we can actually have an online conversation via Skype or some other means, or if you don't,
even telephone calls.
Even telephone calls, we would also encourage telephone calls. So that would be a possibility. That would be a good possibility. So if you want to help us by like writing an article for us, we would be very happy to do so. So please feel free to suggest articles, or if you want to write something on some topic, please feel free to do so. And if you want to help in our outreach activities anywhere in India, so we would be very happy to do that as well, because our main motivation is to spread the joy, whatever little we have got, we want to give back to the society and to the small children of this country. So yeah, we would be very happy to talk to you. If you have any suggestions, any comments, how we can improve our outreach activities, our newsletter, or anything else, so please feel free to send us a comment or any suggestions.
So Gravitational Waves is a newspaper story, right?
Yeah.
So it's imperative that young students know about India's contribution to the discovery, including people from either Kolkata and Sesi, who were part of the team that discovered gravitational waves. So it is absolutely essential that you know that there are ample opportunities for doing research in this country.
Yeah.
So with that goal in mind, we decided we are going to do a special series where we interview some of the leading gravitational wave experts in this country and even outside the country.
Yeah,
right?
black hole down.
So so the idea is, it's a series, right? We haven't decided on how many we want to do at the moment, but it's going to be a pretty long series, and we've already gotten hold of a few people who are interested in helping us out with our outreach programs. People in general say yes, because it's in general not a bad initiative to spread science to the masses. And there's another thing, of course, which is astrosat, and this is again Amar is going to tell you a little more about what astrosat is, but primarily that's also an achievement of India, especially in the field of multi-wavelength astronomy. It's one of the only satellites which has data on specific wavelengths that other satellites still don't have it. But anyway, we shouldn't boast about that, but it's kind of a scientific achievement, and it's necessary for young people to know about the people who are involved in this mission. And so we want to do a series on astrosat as well. So before we go any further, Amar would probably want to tell you a little more about what astrosat is.
Yeah, so like as Maitra already told about the some unique features of astrosat, such as it has the multi-wavelength, it has a sort of a multi-wavelength eye. So using our eye we can see like in the visible range, but astrosat actually is a multi-wavelength satellite. So it has instruments, and the science instruments can record X-rays. It can view celestial objects which emit X-rays. It can also observe objects simultaneously in the UV range, which emit ultraviolet light, and so these are, and it has some particle detectors as well. So it is a kind of a multi-wavelength eye, and you can use it to observe any celestial source such as neutron stars, black holes, active galactic nuclei, and very energetic sources. So it is a kind of satellite. So as far as India is concerned, it is India's first space mission dedicated to astronomy. Besides, so it was launched way back in on 28th September 2015, and so the science data is coming up, and the results are quite promising. And as far as astronomy is concerned, because we do primarily astronomy and astrophysics, so we want to assure the younger generation that there are ample opportunities available in this field. So as Matra just talked about gravitational waves, so LIGO India is coming up.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, in a decade or so. So and the Union Cabinet already gave in principle approval just within a week after the momentous discovery of gravitational waves. Besides, India is also part of very huge collaboration, such as the Square Kilometer Array. So it would be the biggest, one of the biggest science experiments ever planned on the Earth. So it would be a very big radio telescope. So it is so these telescopes are being built by a huge collaboration such as LIGO, similar to LIGO. So India is also part of that great initiative. So to give an amount of the data generated by these huge facilities, so about few minutes of data collected by this observatory would run into the entire data traffic generated by the internet in one day. So it would be quite huge, and we would need lot of people to interpret what about the data, and to help in commissioning these telescopes and discovering new objects and helping us to understand how the universe works. Besides, India is also part of the TMT collaboration, which would be the biggest optical telescope. So TMT stands for like 30-meter telescope, and the biggest telescope operating on the Earth is of the order of like 10 meters. So it would be three times bigger than the current generation. Besides, India is also building a neutrino observatory for the Indian Neutrino Observatory, which has
faced some problems unfortunately, but
hopefully
it also has very lofty goals.
Yeah, it has also very lofty goals. Besides, we should also talk about like recently India became an associate member of CERN. So there are ample opportunities in other fields as well. So I think it is a good time for their ample resources and ample fellowships available for the younger generation to get into basic sciences. And so as we told, like our first newsletter was basically on astronomy and astrophysics, but we would in the future we would like the next edition would be related to biology, perhaps.
Yes, probably
biology. And if you have any suggestions, or if you want to suggest some specific topic on which we should write something, so we can do that as well. And another suggestion which we just received from one of our subscriber is that he suggested us to include a small section on the fellowships available
Right,
after
yes.
12th grade, and there are many fellowships
That will
available
probably be one of the articles of the next newsletter.
next newsletter as well. So if you have any suggestions, if you have any comments in which we can improve our this science outreach activities or our newsletter, so please, we would be very happy to hear from you. And if you yeah, so
So we're almost reaching the end, because we've reached around 20 odd minutes or so of video, and we don't want to bother you for long.
yeah, members.
So yes, but before members, I just want to mention one thing, which is a sort of a it's not really a radio show, but it's something on the lines of a YouTube video a month, or maybe less than a month, talking about recent happenings in science, which we will do, and we will do ourselves. I think we'll have some of the other co-founders of Promote Science appear on some of these videos as well. So we have Abhilash, who is an earth science student, so he can talk about that. We have Roshan, who works in optics and micro manipulation of matter using optics. So he will be optical tweezers. So he will be talking about that. And then there's Shubhajit, who also works in the same area, and he will probably talk about that. There's Amar, who is an experimentalist, and he does space optics. So Amar will obviously talk about the various instrumentation that are necessary, and so on. And I am Moityo, and I'm a theorist, so I can talk about general relativity and gravitational waves. And yes, so we will try to bring our specializations. We are in training, but we'll try to do the best we can. So the ideal number of shows per month is around 1. It might be a little more, depending on if something extraordinary happens in the scientific community, depending on how much time we have. So that's there, but that's about it. But Amar, would you like to talk about members now?
Members.
Yes.
Yeah. So actually, we have been talking. We have been actually discussing about like doing this kind of outreach activities since like few months now. And incidentally, we sat together like one late night, like it was like 12 a.m. or 1 a.m. in the night, and we started that we should do this. And then how it got started, and so that is all about Promote Science. And so if you have any suggestions, if you want to if you want to help us financially, you can also do that. So
Yeah.
so it is noted. So
this is the box where the donations go. If you want to send us money, you can do that. And of course, there's the person you saw pass right next to us is Lakshmi. She works on the sun. So Lakshmi, come and say hi. She's also.
I,
So she's going to talk about the sun, hopefully.
yeah, in some yeah.
So yes, so that's about it. Have a good day, and that's about it, right?
Yeah.